girl, the fields were mine. We played hide and seek for hours, raised our shadows among the pines.
Hey friends, welcome back to Whiskey and Whit. I'm Whitney, and in today's video I'm going to show you how I DIY'd a wood mobile for Finn's Woodland Nursery, so stay tuned. So this was a project that I had every intention of making before Finn was born, and it just didn't happen. Also, as a newborn, I was not super concerned that he needed a mobile right away, but right now that he's approaching 2 months old, he loves to look at things, and especially things with high contrast, and so I wanted to get this created so I could hang it up in his nursery. Everything I mentioned as far as links and supplies and all that fun stuff will be linked down below for you. Also, let me know if you've got any questions down in the comments, and let's get started. For supplies, I used an 8-inch embroidery hoop from Hobby Lobby as well as some yarn. And then I also had a variety of different unfinished wood pieces in the theme that I was going for, so you can customize this for whatever theme. I grabbed some paint and I started painting them the colors of the nursery, but then also I wanted some that were really stark black, stark white, so then that way he had some contrast to look at. So I will link the information down below where all of these came from. It's a variety of Walmart from last Christmas. I got some at Michael's. Some of them are Etsy finds, so I will link all of that. And then I also used some leftover wood beads that I had in my craft stash to add the color to it. Now, if you're doing color, be sure to paint the edges. It gives it an overall finished look. And then with this mountain piece that I got from Etsy, I painted it gray and then added some really cute touches like the snow-capped mountains. Then I grabbed my absolute favorite wood stain. I talk about it all the time, Minwax, dark walnut. I stained the inside of the embroidery hoop because that's what I used. And then I also did some other pieces in that dark stain as well to pull it all together. Now, before I assembled, I went up to the nursery and I used a tape measure to figure out how much of a drop that I wanted. And then I started cutting my yarn because you're going to want to know how far down you want it to hang before you start. So I wanted it to drop about 9 inches, and then I gave myself an additional 18 inches for the top, the way that I kind of wove it onto the embroidery hoop. So this piece ended up being 36 inches. I cut 10 pieces at that 36 inches. Then I took those 10 pieces, folded it in half, and tied a knot at the top to hang the mobile from. I was originally going to hang it by the white pieces that came with the hanger I got on Amazon that hooks it to the crib, but I decided I wanted this so it spun better instead. So once I tied the knot, it was time to start hooking it to the embroidery hoop. Because I doubled up the yarn when I tied the top, then I split it in half, so 10 pieces on each side, and then I started taking them 2 by 2 and attaching them to the embroidery hoop. I was going for kind of a dream catcher look at the top, but I also wanted to make sure it was evenly spaced, so then that way it was balanced so you didn't have a lopsided mobile. So on each piece I just wrapped it around twice, and then once it was wrapped around I tied a double knot so it stayed in place. I started by doing one line straight across, so going one to the left, one to the right. Then I just started making a kind of quad pie piece, and then I filled it out through the middle of each section. You want to make sure that you're keeping this even, starting with this through the weight of your little pieces that you're tying on, because if not, then your mobile will be lopsided and that won't be fun for anyone. So once they were all tied on, then I wanted to start by adding some beads. I took each section of 2, pulled it apart, and then I took one from the left section and one from the right section. So it's kind of like a weaving technique. It's not super fancy, but I really liked being able to kind of add a visual appeal at the top, and then also it's going to give depth when he's looking at it from the bottom up. So I tied on a white bead here, and then I made sure to tie the knots at the bottom 3 or 4 times, so then that way the knot was big enough so your bead wasn't going to fall through. Then I repeated that step all the way around by taking one piece from the left, one piece from the right, tying a knot, and then adding the bead. And I just did a white bead, a black bead, a stained bead all the way around.
So then it was time to add the embellishments. So I started with my 2 big moose heads because I knew they were going to be the heaviest pieces that I had. So for this one, I took 2 of my pieces and tied it onto the moose. All the other ones I did 1 strand down, but for this one I wanted to make sure that it was supported enough. I didn't think that if I just did 1, it was going to keep it balanced. Then I found somewhere where I could hang it up because it helped me really see how deep of a drop I was giving to each item. So I tied a moose on the other side opposite of it with another 2-strand hang. Then the rest of them, I did them at varying heights with 1 piece. I also added some of the larger beads within the center, and I think that really gave it a cool look aesthetically for decor, but then also for Finn to look at. And there it is. This is so customizable. You can hang it literally any way you want. Once the strings are on there, I love that it's really just a creative process and you can figure out what works for you. I'm really proud I was able to find something that worked into the nursery decor but was also functional for a newborn baby. It could be as cute as it is, but he's the biggest critic and he loves staring at it, especially when it moves around. Because of the way that I tied it, you can spin it and it will kind of wind itself up and then unwind, which is awesome. And as far as hooking it to the crib, I got this hanger on Amazon. I will link it down below. It's super cheap. And the buffalo checker on the outside is actually a light cord cover that I got during Christmas at Hobby Lobby. It just Velcroed right on.
Thanks so much for watching. I hope this inspired you to get crafting. You could use this technique honestly for decor just in your home if you want to go more of the dream catcher route or something like that. Also, if you recreate this for your little one's nursery, I would love to see it. Be sure to share it on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook. I'm at Whiskey and Whit on all of those. Also, be sure to hit subscribe down below so you don't miss a future Whiskey and Whit video, and make sure you hit the bell icon, and that way YouTube will let you know every time I post a video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!
We spent summers catching fireflies and winters on our skates. One big smile across my face. We used to dance our way to church on Sundays. Mama set the